the opening ceremonies on Friday. She's obviously going to stay here in Tucson with her family as they continue this search. Guys, there's so much support for them here in the community. In fact, a local church is holding a candlelight service for Nancy tonight to pray for her safe return. Craig.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right. Liz Court's force on the ground in Tucson. Starting us off again, Liz. Thank you.
The
turn
search
down to ABC's
for Savannah Guthrie's
who covers
mom.
law and crime. Tom, good morning to you. Let's talk about what's transpired since we last talked 24 hours ago here on the set. In terms of the investigation, where are we now? And where does it need to go from here?
You know, Craig, we've gotten some new information. Unfortunately, it's not really new information that can help us advance the case today or help out people that are watching that want to assist with this case. You just saw in Liz's report as she was walking there in the vegetation. We're looking at it now. That's something that a number of people reached out to me yesterday and said, did they find any tire tracks? Was there anything that they were able to see behind the house? Because so far, there's been no sightings of any suspicious or unusual vehicles on any of the cameras from the other houses on the street where Nancy Guthrie lives. And unfortunately, the sheriff says, well, no, as a matter of fact, we have not seen any tire tracks surrounding this house. So that was difficult. There were some technological challenges that are occurring with the cameras that were at Nancy Guthrie's house. So that's making things more difficult as far as trying to find any video that may have occurred in those overnight hours when it's believed that she was taken from that residence.
As you know, there are reports circulating now of ransom notes to news outlets.
Yeah.
About Nancy. What should we make of that?
Right. So there were two notes that were sent to news organizations yesterday. They both referenced Nancy Guthrie. I have not reviewed those notes, but based upon what we're told, they have not yet been substantiated by law enforcement. So they haven't definitively tied those notes back to this case. It is something that's going to be investigated by the sheriff's office. Those notes have also been relayed to the FBI. So they're in the course of investigating those as well. They have some expertise as far as trying to track down that information. But sitting here this morning, there's nothing that leads me to believe that at this moment in the investigation, those are actually connected to what actually happened here.
Yesterday, we heard from the FBI agent who's in charge of that particular area in Tucson, and he said that they were specifically analyzing cell phone and tower data. What can they glean from that, Tom?
It's called FBI CAS, and the FBI is sending even more of their agents that are familiar with this technology. The Cellular Analysis Survey Team, each cell phone tower puts out a signal, as we all know. And what they're going to do, and I'm explaining this in its basic form, is they're going to look at all the signals that overlap Nancy Guthrie's house. And they're going to say which cell phones were connected to that house. They'll look at the neighbors. And so if you were my neighbor, Craig, and Chanel, if you were my neighbor, you would say, okay, well, we know that they're going to be there and they were at home at those hours because it was the overnight hours. But we have a number that's connected to the cell phone towers in this area. And you know what? That number's not usually there. Or why is that number there now? And all those types of things are going to look at, certainly as they get additional leads and additional developments. They're hopeful that they'll be individuals that they're hoping to find and obviously get to a great outcome.
Actually, that's really smart. That's very smart. If that becomes the case, that's freaking brilliant. If they're able to do that, right? If they're able to go back and do this, yeah, it's kind of the same way that they got Brian Kohberger in a way, right? They triangulate, these cell phone towers. They find the cell phone that seems to stick out like a sore thumb. It's like, no, that cell phone that's Nancy, that's Nancy's cell phone. Okay, that's Michael's from across the street. That's, Susan from down the street, blah, blah, blah. But this number, it's 2 a.m. and this phone is in this specific area. That's weird. And then they look into it. I mean, this is why the people that got this job do that job, right? So that could be really, really brilliant. And then they can kind of circulate and, process of elimination, figure out who was there during that time, because you never know. There's the other thing too. There's guys that are, it's a Saturday night. It's a late Saturday night. So you know how it is. I mean, I don't know how people live out there in that particular neighborhood or anything of that sort, but there's still a possibility of them, moving, like a guy on a date or, people coming back home from late night, from kicking it or whatever. You see what I'm saying? I don't know what time bars and clubs close in Tucson, Arizona, but I would say, hey, you just never know, right? But she got home at like 9:45, 9:30, 9:45. Saturday night. She probably did her normal bedtime routine, got herself ready for bedtime, and then went to bed. So whoever was, whatever phone, that may have been in that area around that time, that isn't a normal phone number, that's where they're going to be like, there it is. Or if it's like, oh, that's Annie's phone that just showed up at 2 o'clock in the morning in this area. That seems a little bit weird. Why is it over here? Then they start doing the process of elimination and they start asking questions on what's up. Now, I got a few things that I'm going to share with you guys about this, about Annie Guthrie. I kind of Googled her just to find out some more information. We're going to take a look at that in just a little bit. That's coming up later on down the line. Okay, guys, stay with me, guys. We're going to play the rest of this video, but please do me a solid. All right, hit that like button down below, crush it, hit that subscribe button, subscribe, follow, please and thank you. We're keeping a very close watch on this whole situation, and it just keeps it's just wild because it just keeps unfolding. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't stop, which is good. We need developments, right? I just hope that we get the developments I just hope the developments lead to a quick recovery of rescue of this mom.
Say this, I've never covered a case in my entire career where somebody didn't know something, didn't know a family member, didn't know a friend who was responsible for this. Somebody always knows something. And you know what? You can not like us, you cannot like the government, law enforcement, whatever it is in your life that you've got an issue with. At the end of this case is an 84-year-old woman who wanted to spend the rest of her days going to church, spending time with her kids and grandkids. So now is the time to make that call. That is going to be critical in this case. I've never seen a situation where somebody didn't know something about who was responsible for the crime.
And the family maintains that if there is someone out there who has her, say something. No questions asked. Drop her off.
Absolutely.
If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. This is the time more than ever. But here's the other thing too. I just saw it in the chat, and this is a very good point too. They are running license plate readers. That's exactly what they're doing as well. They're going through and they're reading, like, if they're the closest intersection with a street cam, an intersection cam, they are reading every single person's license plate right now. So if this person didn't think about their car and drove in that area around 2 o'clock in the morning, and it might be, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so it's not that busy of a street. So you could literally go through that too, process of elimination, and figure out what's going on here, and possibly catch the person. If this particular assailant or assailants are dumb and didn't think about that detail, them not driving around, removing their license plates. But here's the really frustrating part of this. If they do have cars that they've seen driving around in the area, if they have already gone through those intersection videos, trying to do license plate readers and all that, then that would mean that they already know the make of the car, the color and make of the car. Why aren't they putting that information out there? Because a car drove to go get her. It's not like she got beamed into space. All right. I know that really just got a lot of you conspiracy theorists very upset. Oh, she didn't get sucked into the sky. No, that didn't actually happen. Okay. So somebody drove a car. It's not like they rode a bike over there and took her and then rode her on a bike somewhere away from the area. They put her in a car and they got to stepping. So what actually happened? What car is it? Yeah, it's not like they showed up threw her up there on a horseback and went, yippee-ki-yay! It's not that either. So what actually happened here, right? Where's the car? They gotta at least give the people that, right? Like I said before, it's a Honda Civic, 4-door Honda Civic. It's a midnight blue Honda Civic. So if anybody's seen this car before, it's between a 2004 and a 2010 Honda Civic. You can tell from the grill of the car. It's the older version of the car. there's a new design of the Honda Civic. This is a different one now. 2004 to 2010 is roughly where we're seeing. It's a midnight blue and it's a 4-door. It's a Honda Civic. If anybody's seen this car, please contact local authorities. You see what I'm saying? They would have said that by now, but they haven't said that either. What's taking them so damn long? It's 4 days. What's up with that? I mean, anybody else got a problem with that? Because I got a problem with that, man. I do. With the Brian Koberger case, they were moving pretty, like they were moving like molasses as well, but they were at least giving out some information for us to look at, right? And for people who are in the area to keep an eye on. Think about this too, okay? This means that somebody asked this in a press conference before. This means that this particular person is very dangerous, or persons. You got a person out there, a person or people out there that are very dangerous to the public. It's not just on Nancy. These people could go to any person, okay? Could go to any person's home and just take them. This is still a threat to the world too. This is still a threat to that town, shoot, to that state as well. It's just crazy, guys. This is just nuts. Okay, but we got some more information. Take a look at this. All right. So it says Savannah Guthrie's sister Annie and brother-in-law Tommaso Cioni look tense as they break cover in Arizona just hours after sharing missing mom's last movements with FBI. So, of course, they're going to look tense. Doesn't mean that they're guilty. It just means that they are worried about their loved one, right? One thing is for sure, I don't know. Are we going, okay. Are we going back to that situation where people are going to be outside the home? Like, you know what I'm saying? If this continues the way it's going, I just have the strangest feeling. People are going to be outside somebody's home. I don't know if it's Annie Guthrie's home, but they're going to be outside somebody's home. That thing's coming back. We saw that with Emmanuel Haro's situation. You feel me? Like, I really hope it doesn't go there. But we will see. Let's continue. So, Savannah Guthrie's sister and brother-in-law look tense as they were seen for the first time since the taking of Nancy Guthrie. So Annie Guthrie, 56, and her husband, Tommaso Cioni, 50, covered their faces as they left their home in Tucson, Arizona in a dark-colored Honda SUV at 5 p.m. Tuesday. Annie held a coral-colored hoodie over the top of her scalp. Why would they say her scalp? But okay. She was covering her face, basically, okay, trying to hide her face from photographers. Cioni pulled his T-shirt over his mouth and nose while wearing a pair of aviator sunglasses in a bid to avoid being photographed. You know, like, I hate to say this, with all due respect, I don't understand why people do that, because it's like the damage is done. They already know who you are. They know where you live. They're outside your crib. You see what I'm saying? Like, them doing this, like, don't look at me. You got social media. They could just take those photos and just use them. Like, it doesn't matter. But people do some wild things, weird things to cover their faces. Like, it's done. They already know your face. But anyway, moving on. So the couple who married in 2006, there you go. They were married in 2006. They have one child. If I'm correct, it's a girl, a daughter. All right, returned to their $650,000 Tucson home shortly afterwards. Pima County Sheriff Nanos said they were the last people to see Nancy alive before she vanished, which is obviously a very big piece of information. It is a big piece of information until they are ruled not connected to this situation. All right, Savannah is believed to be staying with them at their home, which would be weird, don't you think, if these allegations are true? Wouldn't that be weird? You got Savannah staying in the home. If Tommaso had anything to do with the taking of her own mama, like, to be in the same house, like that'd be weird, man. That would be weird. That would be weird. Okay. But again, they say police have not confirmed that he is a prime suspect at all. But give it time. The tides could very well change in the next few hours. There's a lot of information that has changed since the start of this show. Like I said, wait till we get through the show and they may confirm it or they may deny it. And they denied it during the course of this show. FBI agents visited the property around 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday as they continue to investigate the kidnapping of Savannah and Annie's mother, Nancy. They left after 2 hours. 5-0 left after 2 hours. So you got their Honda SUV. They live in this home. Nice home. $650,000 home in Tucson, Arizona. Nancy was taken from her, we already know about this. Annie, her mother, spent the evening enjoying dinner together and playing Mahjong, a Chinese 4-player rummy-style game. So the sheriff has not offered any information about possible suspects or a suspect, with a former FBI profiler telling the Daily Mail on Tuesday that Nancy was likely selected for abduction in advance. Yeah, she was, like I said, she was targeted. I believe she was targeted for sure. And it all rests on if that ransom note is real. So Annie raised the alarm the following morning after Nancy failed to show up for church. Ransom notes, plural, were delivered to TMZ and local news outlets like Cold or COLD on Tuesday afternoon, demanding an undisclosed sum of Bitcoin. Now, here's the thing: there's been like a little debate going on. Let's see, can you make Bitcoin account anonymous? I'm curious about that. Can you make Bitcoin anonymous? Because here's the thing. Let me just make this abundantly clear. I'm going to read this off screen really quick because this is something I was thinking about earlier this morning. Because I'm like, remember I said, if they emailed this ransom note, they are dumb. This is the dumbest criminal in the history of dumb. Thank God they're dumb, because without them being dumb, she may never be found, or they may have to drop a serious coin to get mama back. Now, here's another piece which makes them very, very dumb as well. Bitcoin. It's not like they said, we want $15 million in duffel bags and set them on the corner of Spruce Street and Pineapple Avenue. They didn't say that at 9 o'clock Tuesday morning. They didn't do that. They're not saying that from what we're understanding. They want Bitcoin money. They want cryptocurrency, right? Interesting. They're dumb. You want to know why? Because you still have to have some sort of connection to that account. You can trace a Bitcoin account. Here's the thing. I just typed in, can you make a Bitcoin account anonymous, right? So here it is. This is just AI, Google AI, saying Bitcoin is not fully anonymous, but it can be made highly private, pseudonyms, okay, by avoiding centralized exchanges that require KYC, know your customer documentation. To maximize anonymity, users should utilize non-custodial open source wallets, transact over Tor, and use coin mixing services to break the trail on the public blockchain. So you can do it anonymous, but it seems like you got to jump through a bunch of loopholes, a bunch of hoops, to make that happen. But still, no matter what, this person still to have access to that actual account. You really mean to tell me that they can't go and say, find out the IP address that Bitcoin was made from and do the reverse math off of that? You mean to tell me that you can't do any of that? Like I said, there will always be some sort of connection, or you will never have access to that cryptocurrency ever. You understand that, right? I know a couple guys that, that rock with the cryptocurrency, and they're like, yeah, I can't. I don't remember, I can't get access to my cryptocurrency because I forgot my password, right? So I had to start all over again. But this one's sitting there with like millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin in it. It's like, wow, that's insane. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's got to be somebody, you got to be connected to it somehow. So you mean to tell me they can't do some sort of backtracking and find out exactly who the owner of that Bitcoin account is? And then if it's not directly the person who actually took Nancy, you don't think that they can go to that person and be like, yo, you just got a whole bunch of money on your Bitcoin account. So who's that money for? If it ain't you, it's somebody else. So who got access to your account? You see what I'm saying? It's digital. There's no way that you can go unscathed, unrecognized, or anonymously around here with cryptocurrency. There's always going to be somebody connected to it somehow.
Right.
So FBI getting involved it's a very, very big deal. Okay. Sure, they could even, use the VPN and all that, but at the same time, there's got to be a way around it. I just don't think that these people, whoever said, give us this cryptocurrency, millions of dollars, here's millions and millions of dollars, here's our Bitcoin account. I don't think that they're thinking thoroughly. You got to have somebody who knows their ish. But still, them knowing their ish, other people, in the FBI or whatever, know their ish too. They know how to do that ish too. So I'm telling you right now, it's only a matter of time to do a little bit of digital reverse math. Okay, that digital witchcraft that they do to trace it all the way back. You see what I'm saying? That is if that ransom note is real. Okay? Like that's just, like I said, you gotta be a special kind of dumb to think that you're just gonna go walk out here with that cryptocurrency without them going back and doing the reverse math digitally. See, here's the thing. Cold hard cash always wins when it comes to that kind of stuff, because here it is. You just drop off a duffel bag, drop off the mama on the corner somewhere, you grab that duffel bag and you gone. It's not traceable unless out of nowhere you do some crazy deposit into your bank account worth millions and millions of dollars in cash. Yeah, that's going to be a big freaking deal. They're going to notice that. But when you do digital, it's a wrap, man. It's a wrap. It's a freaking wrap, y'all. So again, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. Period. But let's continue on. But thank God they're dumb. They're going to do the reverse math, and hopefully they're going to find the people connected to this whole thing. Because again, I do not think this is just one person. And it may not be the sister and her husband. It may not have anything to do with them. So we got to hold tight until we get more information on that. Okay? The notes are said to have shared details about damage to Nancy's home and what she was wearing that has not been released to the public. Now, here's the thing. This is the other reason why I feel like other people are side-eyeing the sister and her husband. Because how would they know? How would if this person was lying, if this ransom note is a lie, how would they know about the damage to the house? Like her favorite vase that she got from her husband in the early 90s was broken. You know, how would they know? They had to have been inside that house at some point, right? To know that information. Or somebody within law enforcement or within the investigation is in on this whole thing as well. Not connected to Savannah Guthrie's family at all whatsoever. I know that sounds insane, but who else would know, right? Who else would know? Her sister and Tommaso were inside that home, or at least Annie was inside that home before they called 911. They went inside. Remember, Sunday mass happened. A service member, a member of the congregation noticed that she wasn't there, that Nancy wasn't there. They called Annie and Tommaso and said, "Hey, she did not show up today. Can you check on her?" And they said, "Yeah, sure, say less." They hopped in their car, at least Annie, and drove over to the house. And allegedly saw a door wide open. Trails of blood on the ground. House in disarray, in whatever shape it was in. They ran through the back, they ran throughout the entire house trying to find Mama. Mama wasn't there. And that's when they called 911. So, the only person that would know, or the only people that would know about how the place looked inside, what kind of damage was done inside the house, and possibly what she was wearing, right? Before she disappeared, would be Annie and Tommaso. Think about that. I'm saying outside of law enforcement, the only other people that would know are the people that were first at the scene before anyone else was there. And that would be Annie. And if Tommaso was there with her, because he might have been there. Let's be real. Let's put them on the table still. They're still on the table, but let's put them in the innocent category for 2 seconds, okay? Just rock with me for a second. And in fact, let me pull up their faces for a hot minute, okay? Let's just say this. Let's just rock with this for a second. Let's just say they're innocent for a second, because I know everybody's still side-eyeing them both. Why? Because they were the last people to see Nancy alive. It makes total sense that everybody's staring at them, but that does not confirm, that does not mean that they did anything. But we're going to put them in the innocent category for a second. Let's just say that they walked into that house. They saw everything. They freak out. She is going, Tommaso, I don't know what's going on. She probably calls him Tommy, but anyway, Tommaso, I don't know what's going on. They just said Mama didn't show up. Can we go there? Because she needs some support. She needs that help. Because God forbid, what if she walks in and she finds her mama gone? No one wants to see that. That is a terrible, 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 and terrifying experience. So maybe she was asking him to go with her so that she had some support, some moral support, right? So they walk in, they don't see anything, they're looking everywhere, and so they call 911 because they couldn't find her. The only other people that would know about how messed up the place was is local PD. That's the only other people that would know. Local PD and the detective department, etc. That's the only other people that would know. So whoever wrote this letter are either them, the people who took her, or some person that is within the local PD or has connections to local PD. That's the only thing we have. If that ransom note is real, if this ransom note is real, Those are the only options out there.
Mm-hmm.
If they're innocent, then it's somebody within local PD, or somebody connected to local PD to get that information, right? Somebody who did that, an outside entity did what they did and they know everything, right? Or if we throw them in the guilty category, then that means one of these two knows something. That they were a part of it, or they have somebody that they're in connection with that did the kidnapping while they were home because they need an alibi, right? But I don't know, guys. Like I said, I get it. The last people to see her alive and well, alive and breathing, are these two. So what say you guys on that? So Pima County Sheriff's Office has acknowledged these ransom notes, but have refused to verify their contents or confirm whether their deputies have received any ransom demands for Nancy. Well, we already heard from TMZ. I'm going to play that again here in just a second about them saying, hey, we have the ransom note. And in this ransom note, they're asking for copious amounts of money.
I don't believe
millions of
TMC as far as
dollars.
I can damn
So
throw.
the FBI is now helping on the case, okay? And President Trump himself has offered assistance. This is also wild that there is a $2,500 reward. I would expect a whole lot more in this reward, but $2,500 reward is offered for information about her
It's rather
disappearance.
cheap.
Footage shared on Monday showed blood drops, okay, on the doorstep of Nancy's home. She requires regular medication for a health condition, and investigators have warned that denying Nancy these could result in her demise. So police sources told Fox News on Tuesday that Nancy's pacemaker stopped transmitting information to her Apple Watch around 2 a.m. on Sunday, which only means, just to make it completely real and abundantly clear to all y'all, which only means that her pacemaker is not within distance of her Apple Watch or her Apple devices. That's it. That just means she's not on the grounds of that home. That's all. But let us look at this ransom note. TMZ is talking about this ransom note. Let's take a listen.
So something happened here just a few minutes ago. We received an email at TMZ from somebody purporting to basically issue a ransom demand. I'm not going to read this, but the top line to it is that they are asking for money, a lot. They are asking for it in the form of Bitcoin, and they are putting an or else on this.
Right.
Now, they also say they do two things.
You don't want that number.
Right. They say two things. They say that that there is an address, a Bitcoin address that that they could send this money to, and then they give a description of something that.
Oh, I did not mean to do that. Hold on. Oh crap! Where did I go? Oh crap! Hold on.
Don't know if that is accurate. We have called the sheriff's department. We've made multiple calls, spoken with the detective unit. We have passed on this email. We don't know whether this is legit or not. What I will say, this happens from time to time, where a media outlet gets them.
If it's not legit, why the hell did you read it? If y'all don't know whether or not it was legit or not, why did y'all even read it?
Something like this. So, just in due diligence, we've.
One thing we should say.
be taken very, very seriously. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, but one thing we should say is that we.
And me personally, I don't trust TMC on this, far as I can throw 'em.
have confirmed it. At least the Bitcoin address that they've included in this email is legit.
Right. And the authorities will have to take this very seriously. This is a piece of material evidence that has been turned over. They think an abduction happened. They have found substance in the house. The detective walked back a little bit. The sheriff walked back the blood idea. They said that things have been gathered and they are testing those substances. But he did clarify that this is a very open and active investigation. So we'll have to see what happens.
So we will let you know. But right now, again, all we're doing is we've sent this on to detectives, and we will see.
I mean, what say you guys? I mean, do you think that this ransom note is real? Do you think it's authentic? I don't know. There's still a part of me that just like, I'm still side-eyeing it.
Yeah, that note is fake. I'm
I'm
sorry.
still side-eyeing it, guys. You know? Something seems a little bit weird, but let's hear this.
Now to the latest on the investigation into the disappearance of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. An alleged ransom note demanding payment for the release of Nancy Guthrie was obtained by TMZ. That note has been turned into the Pima County Sheriff's Department, given to detectives, and I think more and more people are looking at it right now. Charles Latibotiere is with us this morning, TMZ's executive producer. Hi, Charles.
Hey, good morning, Rosanna. Thanks for having me.
What can you tell us about this ransom note that you saw?
Yeah, this ransom note, which came into our tip email yesterday morning, was very alarming just because there were things in there that there were details that, if true, and again, we don't know because we haven't seen Nancy's home, but they certainly mentioned things that was intended to make the authorities know that this is for real. We have passed along all of that information to the Pima County Sheriff's Department, and I can tell you, not only are they taking it seriously, the FBI is now taking it seriously because we've had a conversation with an FBI agent while Pima County detectives were also on the line. They had some questions about the email, which we shared all the information that we have with them. So they're at least taking it very seriously, as the sheriff said they would, and trying to track down any potential leads that they can, garner from this note.
Wow, so the FBI is now involved, and I think that adds another layer of intense scrutiny investigation. What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, it was very clear to me that they are looking for combing, almost literally through every word of this note, trying to find a clue of who could be behind this. And, that is, of course, if it is legit. And I would, say that the police would know right away if this is legit based on the things that they mentioned. And again, we didn't include that when we published the story just because we don't want to put information out there that could in any way impede the investigation. But the police would know if those things that they mentioned are legit. And one thing that we were able to investigate on our own, the note included a Bitcoin address because there was mention of a ransom and a deadline, and they wanted the money sent to this address. We checked, and that is a legitimate Bitcoin address. So wow. Again, anybody could put that in a note, though, so that doesn't necessarily mean that everything in the note is real.
Hey, Charles, there are a lot of reports out there. I think it stems from reporter Ashley Banfield that family members are being looked at now. They talk about Savannah's sister, and I don't know, is it her husband or boyfriend?
Yeah.
And a car?
Yeah.
What do you know this morning, Charles?
So,
crazy, guys.
This is what you're referring to as a report Ashley Banfield did last night that said, now we should say, in any case like this where someone's abducted, family members, this is typical that family members or law enforcement will try to eliminate them as suspects.
Obviously. And again, their names, from my understanding, I feel like they would have been cleared by now, right? Their names are still on this list. Their names are still on this list. They're the last two people to see Nancy alive. So, of course. Do we expect anything otherwise? We've seen plenty of cases like this a million times before, too, right? Where, we still have other cases, missing person cases, that are still they're where the people's names are still on the list. They're not called prime suspects, but they are being looked at, right? They're still on the list. They have not been released off that particular list. So of course, the likes of Annie and of course, the likes of Tommaso, right? They're going to be looked at tremendously until their alibi checks out. You see what I'm saying? So, let's continue.
What Ashley Banfield reported was that Savannah's brother-in-law, her sister's husband, was someone that police are looking at, and the report says that his car has been impounded by law enforcement in Tucson. We do not know if that is confirmed yet. We have reached out to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. What they told us is that they are going to be having a news conference or releasing information, a press release in about a half an hour that would address some of the things in that Ashley Banfield report.
Hold on real quick. When did this video come out? An hour ago. Okay.
So we will see if there's anything to this. But, look, we saw photos yesterday of Savannah's sister and her husband leaving their mother's home. So I don't know. I really can't say the legitimacy of that report, but we reached out to the sheriff and they are going to be addressing it very shortly, is what they told us.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's nuts because about an hour ago they did put out a statement. So I'm gonna pull that up right now so you guys can see that too. They put up a statement on Twitter. So again, guys, they're saying that nobody is a suspect right now. No one has been named a suspect, and that includes the brother-in-law. Just so you know, here it is. It says, at this point, investigators have not identified a suspect or person of interest in the case. Detectives continue to speak with anyone who may have had contact with Mrs. Guthrie. Detectives are working closely with the Guthrie family. While we appreciate the public's concern, the sharing of unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation. No suspect or person of interest has been identified at this time. So now you hear the press release from Chris Nanos, the sheriff of the Pima County Police Department. So now they're saying this has nothing to do, or they're saying that what we heard from Banfield TMZ, of course, Banfield broke the story, TMZ repeated it. Of course, there's been other articles, other news outlets that have been talking about it as well. But now they're saying that it is not accurate, that it's not true. So it's a very big deal, guys. This is a very big deal. And hey, reporters, journalists, reporters, etc. They make the mistakes happen all the freaking time. Okay, mistakes happen all the time, especially when it's something like this. When it's something so serious, when everything's down to a wire. Yeah, those, the allegations, the speculations, the side-eyeing, etc. There's going to be a lot of that, for sure. I remember this with Kylie. I forgot her last name now. I feel like a jerk. Remember the girl that was found and she disappeared, and then the car was found with her in it in the lake. Like she was at a party in the woods, and then she apparently drove off and she drove into a lake. Kylie Rodney, thank you so much, Kylie Rodney. There was a lot of allegations and speculations on that, and some reports were wrong, right? Same thing with Riley Strain. There was a lot of reports and a lot of, eyewitness accounts that were not accurate at all. You see what I'm saying? So there's been plenty of those kinds of cases where You get some information from a source and it's not correct. It happens. This is kind of what happens in these ongoing kinds of ongoing cases, ongoing investigations that are still fresh, and it's a hot topic, and everybody's really wanting to find out what's going on. These things happen, guys, right? These things do happen. I want to go over to Brian Enton.
Hey guys,
I appreciate his reporting as well. He had some things he talked about in this particular show on his podcast, or on his his YouTube show. So I wanted to share and show you guys a little bit of that too. Let's take a look. But again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe, please, and thank you. Subscribe, lovies. Subscribe, please, and thank you. Let's take a look at this.
Subdivision. I don't know if those traffic cameras report. We don't know exactly what police know right now, and they based on the press conference, they know very, very little, and they need the public's help. But as we've seen in cases before, even with Brian Koberger in the beginning, so many of us thought that police knew very little because they weren't saying anything, or they were telling us they didn't know anything, but they actually knew a lot behind the scenes. That could be the case here. I mean, why are they not giving any specific information about a vehicle that they're looking for? Is it because they don't know what the vehicle is, or is it because they know and they don't want the perpetrator, to know that they know the vehicle type? So
I feel like that's one of the main reasons also. I know it's very frustrating for us that are out here, the public, wanting to know exactly what happened, but that's one thing for sure, right? They're not giving out the car, the make, or anything of that sort, because they don't want them, they don't want the bad guys to know that they're, they don't want the bad guys knowing that they're hot on the trail. But that's the thing, though. There are people out here that may see or may have seen something, but may not know that they saw something without the evidence being put out here for us to see. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, okay, I know that this is a lot of controversy around this particular case, but it's kind of like the Tyler Robinson situation, the Charlie Kirk tragedy, right? They were literally going, we need to find this guy, we need to find whoever did this, blah, 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 here, and at first they didn't give us much information. They didn't give us anything. We were finding these things off of the internet of people shooting, filming things on social media with their own phones. But then what happened? They finally showed screenshots of what they found through security cams, etc. They're like, this is the guy. We need your help finding this guy. And without them putting that stuff out to the public, Tyler Robinson would not have turned himself in. He would have been just fine. He would have kept going to Dairy Queens and having himself some French fries and milkshakes. He would have been just fine. But because the police turned to the public and said, we need your help, that's when they were able to quickly bring that guy to justice. Now, I know the argument is, whether or not he really is the guy. I still think that they have their guy. I just don't think he was the only one who did it. That's a whole other conversation in itself. One thing is for sure, though, without them turning to the public and saying, hey, please, do you know this car? Have you seen this car anywhere? Or, hey, we have footage of this particular assailant. Check this video out, or this still out. Does this person look familiar to you? Those kinds of things are incredibly important and helpful, but they're not putting that stuff out. It'd be nice if they did, because it would get people to start keeping their eyes open for a car or anything of that sort like that to bring her home as quickly as possible. But I digress. Let's continue.
I don't know the answer to whether they know a ton more, but based on the press conference and what the sheriff was saying, they know very, very little right now, and they need help from the public. In terms of ransom, have they gotten any requests for ransom from a kidnapper? We asked that question specifically at the press conference, and the sheriff kind of just dodged it. He didn't say yes or no. He said, said something like, we're looking into every lead out there. So He didn't say yes or no, but what's interesting is first TMZ reported that they received a ransom letter into their email and said that it had specific information in it, a specific dollar amount, and also had specific information in terms of describing what Nancy Guthrie was wearing, and also specific information from inside the house. Whether any of that's true, we don't know. I mean, it could just be totally bogus. Who knows? It could be people just, sending info in, faking, making it up, like just to try to get money, just jerks out there. There's also a local TV affiliate here in Tucson that says that they've received a ransom note. And the sheriff's office actually responded, let me read this to you, and said they responded to some of these reports about ransom notes and said, we are aware of reports circulating about possible ransom notes regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. We are taking all tips and leads very seriously. Anything that comes in goes directly to our detectives who are coordinating with the FBI, and they're encouraging anyone with information to continue to reach out. In terms of the FBI is very much now involved, and that's a new element. We knew that they were assisting yesterday. They are very much assisting today, because when we were at the press conference earlier, there was the FBI special agent in charge of this Tucson area who was actually at the press conference. That could also explain why police aren't, or why the sheriff isn't saying as much. Usually I find that when the FBI gets involved, they really seem to clamp down on just other members of law enforcement speaking out about the investigation. So there's definitely a sense today that there's not as much information coming out. And the sheriff even said at the end of the press conference that they're not going to have another press conference until Thursday unless there's an update, which I thought was kind of interesting because it's only Tuesday.
Insane.
Also new.
I think that's very weird too. Like, you're not going to do a press conference until Thursday, yet you have a woman, a mom, where every second counts, and you're not going to have there should be daily. That's what I think. There should be daily press conferences until this woman is found.
Why are they not doing daily updates?
Or until they have some massive updates that they can't give to the public so that they can zero in and get this bad guy or these bad people into custody and get her home safely. This is all about everything down to the wire. This is just like any other missing persons case when it's somebody who's a very young child, a baby, etc. Like, this is dire. So I don't know what the heck is going on here. It's just, I think this is very insane. That they're like, oh, we'll do another one on Thursday. No, this should be daily. This should be daily. I'm sure there's going to be something big that's going to pop off today. I'm sure there's going to be some new piece of information. So get ready for it. I feel it in my bones. Hopefully it is something towards getting her home. But we will see. Let me jump ahead a little bit more.
Situation out here.
I'm joined now by Maureen O'Connell, who, if you follow my show, everybody knows Maureen and loves Maureen, retired FBI agent, and Jeff Bennett, one of Maureen's colleagues, who is new to the show. Thank you for coming on, Jeff, who is also a newly retired FBI agent. I want to start with you, Maureen. This video that we got of the blood spatter outside the front door. What do you make of that?
Well, a couple of things jump out to me. The first being that there aren't any bloody footprints. And if she had been bleeding like that through the house, we would have seen bloody footprints, or perhaps a void where there's blood around the foot, but not under where her feet would have been. It leads me to think that there is a chance that she may have been carried out. Also,
I thought that same doggone thing. Thank you. I think she was carried out. Okay? Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that she is still alive. All right? I'll keep it a bean. I don't have any proof of that. But the only thing I could do is hold on to hope. And hold on to the glass is half full type situation. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, there's no proof of her still being alive. But I think that if this ransom note is real, then they would not be saying, give us millions of dollars, or or you'll never see her alive again. You see what I'm saying? So to me, if the ransom note is real, then she's still alive. They're not about to just ask for money after they just took her life. It just doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? They're going to be like, no, that's not going to happen. No. They want money, so they need to make sure they're able to preserve her life. That's if this ransom note is real. All right? But let's continue. I say let's err on the side of she's still alive.
So the blood droplets are generally round in shape, which means that they came from directly above, as opposed to being cast off. They don't appear to have anything to do with high velocity impact or anything like that. So it makes me very sad to see that.
Were you surprised that it's still there? Because the crime scene is over. You know, it's all opened back up. We just went to knock on the door and saw the blood there.
No.
Is that the usual?
No, I mean, I was at a shooting one time where when the Bureau got done with it, there was such a large amount of blood that we just power washed it off, but only because the shooting happened to occur in one of those stalls for a car wash. So when we looked around and they're like, is this a biohazard or whatever? I said, well, I've got 75 cents. And I just put it in the machine and just power washed it off, and it was done. That was after, obviously, they're going to have to photograph it. They're going to have to measure or put a good enough scale in there, meaning a ruler, so that they can determine exactly what size the droplets are, what directionality, where they point, and reference photographs, all kinds of stuff like that. Once they do that, and they do sample testing, so you'll notice in those blood, they're different colors. Like one of them appears to have a lot more brown in it. Some of them appear to be more red. Are those from two different individuals? I don't think so. If I'm looking at who the potential offender is for this, it's probably a young male, and she is an 84-year-old lady with health issues. My guess is it's going to be her blood, but we could be wrong. I doubt it, though. And so you're not just going to test the blood in one spot. You're going to test it in a number of spots, anything that looks different. And you just have to do a sampling that's good enough to stand up in court to say that we did our due diligence and we looked at every angle that we possibly could, and this is what we came up with. So they'll be testing all that blood. The sheriff already said in a podcast late last night that he was submitting that for Rush and it's rapid DNA, but he's sending it to the lab for a Rush. So they'll know. They know already whose blood that is. I'm sure they know, and I'm relatively sure it's hers.
Jeff, I'm outside the house right now. Actually, we were able to confirm that there are signs of forced entry. Have you ever seen a case like this? I mean, 84-year-old woman appears to just vanished.
You know, it's pretty unusual, especially here in the United States. We see these types of cases out of the country that are ransom cases where the family who resides here in the U.S. gets ransom calls for their family who is kidnapped overseas. But I can't recall even one that matches the fact pattern of this case. And to go back to the blood question you had earlier, I also think it's significant, and I can't tell from the video, but I assume the blood droplets stop somewhere, and that would suggest that a vehicle would be involved. And if a vehicle is involved, then I'm assuming the investigators are looking for a vehicle. And so when you start to chase video, you may be looking for a video around a specific time.
What do you think they're doing behind the scenes right now, Jeff, in terms of the FBI? Because the FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge was at the press conference today, which he wasn't there yesterday. I mean, there was a feeling today like the FBI is really coming into this now. What do you think they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you from firsthand experience over many years, in many cases like this, if not hundreds of cases like this, this is a whodunit case. Although it's high profile, this is a typical whodunit case. We have a crime scene, we have a victim, but we don't know who did it. And so what is occurring is a series of search warrants that are blanketing the area, that are trying to just acquire all of the electronic evidence in the area for future use. And a team of agents is working on that right now. And what is critical at this point is to acquire not only the evidence at the crime scene, but the evidence from the day before, so you can conduct a comparison. Who was there on the day of the crime, who was not there the day before, and then when the investigators are chasing video, you're adding locations as you're chasing that vehicle down the road, as far as you can get it. You're adding geofence.
I'll be right back,
You're
y'all.
adding locations to starting to compare electronic evidence, search warrant data. As you're layering that data, eventually you should get a very, very small number of devices. Essentially, you should get one. Because here's the thing, Brian, is it's not just phones anymore. It is cars, it is watches, it is vacuums, it is tablets. So many things we have are connected to the cellular network and connect on a regular basis. And that location information is critical to an investigation like this. So this is paramount to get that information rapidly.
Maureen, what do you make of these ransom notes? I know of at least two. One went to TMZ, and TMZ is saying that there was specific information about what Nancy was wearing and specific information about the inside of the house. Granted, we don't know if any of that's true. And then there's another note.
But if it is true, that's a great ransom note. That's what you want.
And there's another one that apparently or allegedly went to a local TV station here. My gut is like, don't you think these are just people like messing around trying to make some extra money? Apparently there's a Bitcoin routing number on one. Or do you think these could actually be legit, Maureen?
Well, if they describe exactly what she was wearing and it's definitive enough to dial into that, then yeah, that's a very important letter. And if it is an actual piece of paper, it could, even if they wore gloves, there could be trace DNA on it. And the fact that it was in an envelope and potentially mailed, I don't know, was it mailed? Was it dropped off? Was it, you would imagine it was.
I think it was an email.
Let me just say, again, if it's an email, this criminal, this monster, this team of monsters are idiots. And that's if and only if it was emailed. You got to be a special kind of dumb, to do a ransom note sent via email.
I know they was doing it by that.
That's it. They are idiots. Thank you, Jesus, that they're idiots. But here's the thing. FBI, whoever's involved with doing the backtracking, to trace that email and all that, they're not working fast enough. Okay? Because they should have been circling around a person by now, right? After they do all their digital background, tracing the emails, so on and so forth. Somebody needs to get arrested. Somebody needs to be looked at right now.
At least in a TMZ, yeah.
Well, yeah, then you can, and they can bounce these IP addresses all over the world, but the technology is, and this is something that probably Jeff can speak to better than I can at this point, but those IP addresses, we can dial into them so much faster and so much better with the help of AI. It's ridiculous. And with the tools that are available, even to my team of PIs, and with really expensive, and I mean really expensive software, you can dial into this stuff much quicker than we ever could in the past.
If they emailed it, they dumbasses. Thank you, baby Jesus, for being dumbasses. But what's going on with 5-0 and whatever they're doing to get these guys? They need to get to them. This needs to be. They need to go and get these people quickly, right?
But Jeff, what are your thoughts on really honing in on an IP address now as opposed to maybe 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, we can flip an IP address. In minutes now with our ability to go backwards, especially our connections to the ISPs, and really the exigent capabilities we have now. And there's one thing I want to add, Brian. I'll tell you, these cases are unique. These high-profile cases, they bring two things to the table. Two things that the investigators are going through right now. And I'll tell you this: it's management is getting involved, interfering with decision making, and they are slowing down the process. I promise you that. 100%. 100%. Because when a case like this, it becomes management heavy. Normal cases move like a speedboat. This case will move like an aircraft carrier. That is one point I want to make. The other point is, and Maureen knows that, I can tell from the smile. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. And the other point I want to make is, I want to say it gently. Maybe I'll come back to it. I'll take a public.
Throw it out there.
You can say it. You can just put it out there. You're retired. You can just say it.
Well, I want to be gentle.
It's interesting you said. It's interesting you said. I would have thought. You said it moves like an aircraft carrier instead of a speedboat. I would think when it's a Savannah Guthrie, the opposite would be happening. They'd say, let's move this as fast
because
as we
everyone.
can.
No, because whenever microphones and cameras are involved, these people just are breathing down your neck because they want to look the best they can look.
Yeah.
It's at a time like this, in a case like this, where you need a honey badger on your squad that has no problem telling anyone to F the F off if need be.
Yeah.
Because these people get in your way. They breathe down your neck. They micromanage. And then at the end, after you fight tooth and nail to get the job done, guess who takes all the credit?
Right. Right.
Yeah, they feel like they have the most to lose, and all the line detective wants to do is solve the crime. But man, it becomes very cumbersome. It's almost like a second job is managing the managers, because boy, that it becomes very cumbersome. Because you no longer kind of own the investigation. You have to run all of your decisions through a multitude of supervisors.
Do you think, Maureen, that they know a lot more than they're letting on? Because I was sitting in this press conference, and the sheriff is he was very open yesterday. Today he was a little bit more tight-lipped, but he makes it sound like they still need the public's help, and this is just a big mystery.
Well, they do need the public's help. I mean, any tip, we all know that any tip can blow a case wide open. And there's someone sitting in their house right now following this case that knows most everything about this case, but they're keeping their mouth shut because it's a family member. But their heartstrings are being pulled left and right. But to Jeff's point, the point I think Jeff was trying to make was, in normal cases, these detectives, these cops, these FBI agents are out there doing this every single solitary day. There's a dope case where someone lost 2 kilos and they have to come up with the money to pay off the dope dealer, and so they're going to go and kidnap someone. That's why all these kidnappings happen in Mexico with rich people. It's because they need fast money to pay off a drug debt. It's just that simple. And so there's a lot of this that goes on, but in a case like this, when you have, and your boss is always like, okay, great, really? That's what you got to do? Yeah, we got a Title III code going up here. We've got the guys over here. We have the IP address isolated here. We've got surveillance on this loc, and they're just like, oh, okay, that's great. But when it's a big case, they got to get their nose in it. It's human nature, I guess.
Yeah. And I recall, sorry, Brian, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to make this point is, I recall the second thing I wanted to say was, as soon as the case was public, as soon as, whether it's the FBI or the sheriff's office, make an announcement, they put up a phone number or an email address, every lunatic who thinks it's funny to call in, will call in and provide a tip. And those
unfortunately,
down regardless. But 99.9% of the time, those are all red herrings. They're absolutely worthless. And from a I call it an IO, an investigator's perspective, from a detective owning perspective, it's really one of the worst things you can do is make the case public.
Ransom, right?
Yeah, like that's right. Just once it goes public and it says, hey, we need your help. Oh man, it just changes the landscape of the investigation, because now the suspect who maybe thought they got away with it is going to totally change up. So hopefully, if the sheriff, I'm hoping, if maybe they have a suspect, under surveillance. Maybe they're just waiting to build up the case for maybe building probable cause. Who knows?
Both of those are true.
Maybe that's right.
Surveilling him while they're trying to build the case.
While they're building it up,
and
right?
They're trying not to get burned, and so they're bringing surveillance teams from other locations.
Do you think she's still alive? May I ask both of you this? I mean, it's a sad question, but I mean, do you think she's still alive?
Until I saw that blood today, because I didn't know if it was one drop or a half a cup or whatever. That let the air out of my tires, honestly.
Yeah. I don't want to speculate without.
Because there's always so much more in these investigations that are held tight, especially in the cases that I know Maureen and myself work.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, I hope
not likely. I hope she is.
Of course, I hope and pray she's okay.
So I hate that they're saying, like, she was like, I had hope before, but then when I saw the blood on the ground, then I thought different. But I think that the blood on the ground isn't as bad as some may be looking at as. I don't think it's as bad as some are looking are seeing it. But at the same time, I'm not a professional, right? I'm not a pro in law enforcement or anything of that sort. These are people who have been there and done that, seen stuff like that a billion times. So yeah, I really hope that I'm right, that she's okay and that she's going to be found alive. But you never.
I hope she's found alive too.
1 second, guys. I'm just checking a few thizzangs here real quick. I wish that they actually, I'm going to say it. I kind of wish that they actually, exposed the ransom note so we can just see what was being said in that ransom note. And I'm also curious about if each ransom note is different or if it's just the same ransom note just been sent a billion times. I really wish that they would just let us know what's being said in that ransom note. Let's take a look at this. Come on, bro. Take a look at this. They are saying the sheriff believes that she is alive. All right. And he's saying we want to save her. So, of course, nearly 72 hours after Nancy Guthrie was first reported missing, authorities remain hopeful that she is still alive. We have nothing else to go on but the belief that she's here. This is what he said in an interview with NBC, which aired on the Today Show, which we already saw, I think, if I'm correct. She's present, she's alive, and we want to save her. However, authorities have been upfront about having no suspects as they continue to search for Nancy. The leads we've got coming in are critical to us. They're valuable, and we're sharing those with the FBI and others. So, of course, if you know anything, I would just say, you can call 1-800-CALL-FBI or just call 911 to be completely real, right? But again, we still do not know where she is. It's where the mom is. Where is Nancy, right? This is very strange and very odd. And of course, you know, we ain't done yet, but I just want to chisel down some of these super chats here really quick, okay? So, Allie, thank you so much for the love. Thank you for practicing ethical, responsible reporting. Of course. I appreciate you acknowledging that. You know, like, again, maybe you got to remember, Ashley Banfield's Connect, her source may be right. Her source may be telling the truth. But police could very well, they may not want to let people know that they're looking at the brother-in-law. They may not want that information out here yet. You see what I'm saying? As they go deeper into this investigation. But, you know, at the same time, maybe her source isn't reliable at all. I don't know. Only time will tell. Here's the thing. If he gets arrested, dead giveaway, right? If he gets arrested, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
But we can't say anything. We can't find that out yet because they're
Can't
still
say
doing the
nothing yet.
investigation, right? Flojo, thank you so much for the love. The fact that she's on medications and hasn't had them for more than 72 hours is horrible. Get her home. I agree. But here's the other thing too. If this person knew, if these people knew her, they may be holding her up and she may have her medication. They may be taking care of her because she's a valuable person. She's valuable. If they're trying to get the ransom, if they're trying to get the money, she's got to stay alive, right? So you never know. They may have gotten medication for her. Maybe found it off the dark web or something like that. I don't know. But, you know, you never know, right? So if she needs her medication that bad and she needs to stay alive so that they can get the bag, they're going to try to make sure she stays alive, right? You know, and here's the other thing too. Just because her medication is there, did they catch her? Did they count her medication? Did they open up? Hear me out. Hold on. Hear me out. Did they count her medication? Because she may have re-upped before the month, right? Before the start of the month. Maybe she re-ups every couple weeks. God knows. Did they count her medication? Could they have taken some of that medication with them? I'm just saying. They planned this out. Whoever did this planned this out. They knew what they were going to do. So what if they were able to, I don't know, take some of the medication out of the, get some of these pills out of the medication, out of the medication containers, the medication containers that she got. What are the chances, right? They need her alive. You understand? They need her alive. She's valuable. Whatever they're asking for in crypto, if that ransom is real, they're asking for a lot of money. So she's worth that amount. Do you see what I'm saying? So she's extremely valuable. Alive. Her gone, it's a wrap. They won't get that money. So what if they went into the her little pill containers and poured out a few days worth? That's possible. I know that sounds a little insane, but anything's possible. Have they counted the medication that is sitting in her wherever it's sitting, right? Something to think about. That's all. It's just something to think about. It may be completely off, but they may have gotten stuff offline, or they just grabbed the pill jars and just boop, boop. Okay, here's, 5 days worth of this, 5 days worth of that, 5 days worth of this. All right, that is possible, right? But let's continue. Jay Gussie, thank you so much for the love. Don't forget about Israel Key's last victim, though. You don't have to keep them alive, sadly. And Nancy needs her meds. So I really hope she is alive. True. All right. I see your point there, right? They don't need, they don't need her alive, but at the same time they do. The period. They still need her. They still need the money. You really think that they're going to, no, they're going to be like, I want her, like at some point, of course, if this ransom is true, I'm assuming, and of course, this is obviously from movies. I'm just I would assume that they're going to want to see proof of life before they even do anything. Before they even do a crypto exchange or, transfer or whatever. They're going to want to have something to show proof positive that she is still alive and kicking. Because if she's not alive, then what's the point of the money? You see what I'm saying? Just saying. So, something to think about. Maybe they need to count those pills. General Genobi, what's up? Yeah, they could have stashed her, refilled her meds while extorting. Yup. Refill her meds while she's being extorted for it, for this money. I don't know. I feel like we would have seen, somebody picking up medication for her under her name. I just feel like that we would see that at a local, at that local Walgreens or whatever pharmacy she goes to. You see what I'm saying? They would have been like, yo, that's Tommaso. That's Tommaso right there picking up medication. Days or two after she's been missing. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like proof of life is coming up next if the ransom note is real. Nurse for God, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Pascal, you are one of the most non-racist persons I know. Just saying. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much for the clarification. Apparently, because I said he's Italian. I don't know. People are crazy, guys. People are crazy. Kick your ass. Thank you so much for the love. The suspect knew where they were. Yep. All the cameras? Absolutely. They knew exactly where those cameras were. This is an inside job. This is a mother-loving inside job. Or that person took the time to look for all the cameras. They had time.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it, they had time, right? Jess, thank you so much for the love. The dog passed, no dog. Oh, interesting. Because there was an interview where they talked about a dog. And I'm like, okay, if the dog is there, and I guess it's passed, but if the dog was there and it wasn't barking at that time, then that would give me that clear idea that this particular dog knew that person. You see what I'm saying? Just saying, right? Hold on one second, guys. Okay. So yeah. So there's that. Hold on. Okay, let's continue on. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so Rachel, thank you so much for being a member for the past 13 months. I appreciate it. I hope and pray she is found alive and safe and not hurt. Yes, I agree 110%. Reed, thank you so much for the love. Annie Guthrie serves as the marketing and publicity director for Core Press, a writer and a jeweler. Yes, I have all that information right here as well, which we are going to talk about. So they're saying that she is currently a marketing and publicity director for feminist activist Core Press. Now, I know a lot of us are wondering what the heck is Core Press. Core Press, now often, I'm reading this off screen, just so you guys know, now often known as the Core Press Institute, is a Tucson-based non-profit intersectional feminist literary organization founded in 1993. It serves as a literary publisher and activist hub dedicated to uplifting women, transgender, and marginalized voices through publishing, community education, and social justice programs. Moving on, she also runs a commission-only jewelry business at the Splinter Brothers and Sisters Warehouse, and she has been teaching the discipline of oracular writing since 2009. So what the hell is oracular writing?
Yeah, what the hell is
that? It is a form of creative, often divinatory writing that acts as a conduit for subconscious, intuitive, or veiled knowledge, mimicking the physical or prophetic tone of ancient oracles. It functions as a practice of deep inquiry and observation, where writers may use techniques to bypass rational thought, such as automatic writing or writing with symbolic systems, to produce text that is both lyrical and dense. So in other words, it's like it's kind of like a holistic kind of flow of consciousness of writing, right? So that's interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. I've never heard of that technique before in my life, that technique of writing, but that's interesting, right? So that's what she does. So she got 3 jobs, it sounds like. She works for Core Press, which is, a feminist activist group. Yeah, it's like an organization, a feminist activist organization. Okay, she also makes jewelry, if I'm correct, and she also writes. She also writes, like it's an organic flow of way of work. It's hard to explain, but it's very interesting, right? It gives me like a hippie vibe. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna go with the flow. We're just gonna write, and whatever comes out, whatever comes from the heart, that's what we're gonna write. That's what's going to be done, written on page, something like that, right? Very free spirit, if that for lack of a better term. Okay, General Genobi, thank you so much. New photo out this AM of them leaving the house and covering their faces. Yes, we just saw the photos. I may show those back up here again in a second. Angela. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Mimi, thank you so much for both super stickers and for that super sticker as well. And for this, can a few of us do a super chat? Just a little train. Well, I appreciate the love. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you to all those super chats. Of course, Mimi, thank you so much for gifting 1 membership. Welcome back to becoming a member. All right, I know you're just re-upping. I appreciate that, Jackie Sue. But just like Jackie, please become a new member. Hit that join button down below. Support the channel if you can. Mimi, thank you so much for the gifting the new member. For you, whoever became the new member, welcome to the family. All I ask for you guys to do is to pay for it. Okay, open the door for somebody. Be extra nice to somebody, pay somebody a compliment, that kind of thing, as long as it doesn't get you into trouble, okay? Aim your compliment wisely to the right person. How's that? All right? But, do something nice for somebody, okay? We need a lot more positivity in the world. All we do is cover craziness as of late. There's never anything like great and positive going on as of late. So please do something small but wonderful and positive for somebody, okay? Out there. General Genobi, you must, I think you're saying you must take Ashley with a grain of salt. Yeah. She said pacemaker stopped. Replay that. The pacemaker stopped syncing with phone when out of range. Only a doctor can run a report to see if it has actually stopped. I think what she meant, and you may have a point there, but I think what she meant is that it just stopped connecting with her phone via Bluetooth. That's what I think. But she may have said that too. You never know. Nicole, welcome to the family. Welcome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Nicole, again, thank you so much. The ransom note reminds me of Jean Benet. Yeah, it's given that vibe for sure. I'm feeling that vibe. I'm feeling it for sure. Feels like it was deliberately misleading. I feel like it could be too. That was my gut reaction. My gut reaction when we first talked about it yesterday, I said, I'm side-eyeing it. Something seems weird about it. But then there's another part of me that's like, I hope it's real. Because if it's real, that means she's still alive. But if it's not real, then God only knows where she is and what happened to her. So I'm hoping that the sweet baby Jesus, it is real. I really am. Because if it's real, then she's alive. If it's not real, then we're back at the drawing board all over again. And we'll never know. Right? Lynn, thank you so much for being a member for the past 19 months. I appreciate it. Where's the dog? And who was the fourth playing? I need to know. And does Husby have a gambling problem? So many questions. So we now understand that the dog is dead. So he's been dead since December? Since Christmas time, apparently? Okay. Who is the fourth playing? That is a very good question. Because apparently it's a 4-person game. Right? Mahjong is a 4-person game? Hold on. Let's find out. Is Mahjong a 4-player game? Let's find out. Yes. Mahjong is traditionally and most commonly a 4-person tile-based game of skill and luck. Now it says, while designed for 4, it can be played with 3 or even 2 players using modified rules or special variations like Siamese Mahjong. So, you could still play it, it just has to be tailored a certain way. So, good though. Very good question about that. And if there was a fourth person, who would that be if that was the case? If they did the full-fledged game? We'll find out. And does Husby have a gambling problem? I don't know. We haven't really heard much about Annie and Tommaso. So we're only going to know when they give us more information, right? Deborah, thank you so much for the love. It's the shaper of the blood? It's the shape of the blood they're looking at. Is that what you're talking about? The shape of the blood they're looking at? The shape of the blood.
I'm going to go ahead and cut this off here because I got some stuff I need to do. Thank y'all for being here. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all later. Peace.